all of these roles are roles that at some point right now in your business, you are going to need their involvement if you want to scale, grow, or succeed. We're talking about how to have people in passion zones and how to have people in narrow swimming lanes so that you've got experts that if you lose anyone or need to get rid of anyone, you don't need to freak out. I'm actually going to take you on a bit of a journey. It's going to go in some weird and wonderful places, and I hope this will be super, super relevant. So here we go. Innovative technologies, innovative approaches, and innovative solutions. How can we enhance the student experience by enhancing your RTO? So here we go. Now, this is why I'm changing what I'm going to speak today. It's not exactly what Troy's asked me to speak. I'm not going to be as self-promoting as maybe I was given permission to be today, okay? Because when I was out there at the beginning, there was a lot of people in this room that are coming in going, yeah, we want to learn about this AR, VR thing. And then someone else would come up and they go, yeah, we're here to learn about an AI thing. So who does that sound like in this room? Is that the way you talk? Who in this room could tell me exactly what each of those things, what each of those roles do? And there's going to be some of you here that can, but if I was just to pick randomly a Unity developer, do you know what they do? Java developer, do you know what they do? Python, no, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to show you this. As per Troy, 100%. And if you haven't seen the big orange sign and you haven't seen me speak before and you don't know what we do, absolutely we can have these conversations because all of these roles are roles that at some point right now in your business, you are going to need their involvement if you want to scale, grow, or succeed. And this is your reality if you want to look at it. Onshore, any of these roles are going to cost you somewhere between $160,000 to $250,000 per person per year, Australian dollars. Now, of course, we specialise in helping offshore talent to get you these roles for somewhere between $9,000 a year and $41,000 a year. But here's the thing. I'm not here to talk about that. I've decided we're going to change it. So this is what we're morphing into. It's going to be very exciting. So work with me as we go. We're going to go into a journey, okay, of self-discovery. So we're going to go into your options in building innovative student experiences, and then we're going to click on some workforce engineering because I can't help myself, and I'm going to show you some really cool stuff. And by the way, all of these are, I'm not taking you on a journey pointing you directly to what we do. I am actually genuinely giving you these options, knowing that a lot of you really won't know where to go next with this information. The next option you've got is an agency. So you want to go down this path of innovative solutions for student experiences. So your first option is licensed content. So practically, you can decide, this sounds great, let's go and buy some stuff off the shelf, if it exists. So some of you in here might be running first aid courses. Yes, it exists. Some of you in here might be looking at nurse training. Yes, it exists. Some of you might want to look at the best way to castrate a cow. That probably doesn't exist, or at least not what we want to be looking at. So legitimately, does it exist? And you're going to pay per use basis. Okay, so this is the journey you're going to go on, all right? Now the pros of this concept of licensing content, you run back, you're an owner, you go back to your owner, you say, right, it's easily available, but it's going to be expensive and it may not be suitable or contextualized to our courses. So you can go to an agency, a full service agency. There's going to have an in-house team ready to execute on the full product, all right? But again, this is going to be expensive. It's going to be about $200 an hour. So you could easily spend about $1,000 a day minimum on a full agency operation. And there will be a dispute potentially because of IP. Then this goes to, no, we're going to build our own team, your final pathway of choice if you would like to take action based on what you're hearing today. You know you want innovative solutions for your students. You know you want to look at technology and getting immersed, and VR and AR is a wonderful opportunity. So you're going to build a team. So what are you going to experience there? Well, first of all, Pros are proximity. That's only if they're office-based. So many of you that we work with and that we don't work with, we know you might all be onshore, but you don't all work together. You work in different parts of Sydney, different parts of Melbourne, different parts of Perth, etc. But if you're in an office proximity, collaboration and testing is important, as you're going to see from one of the other speakers later on. Here, put on this headset. What do you think? What about this one? I've done a tweak. That's a real pro. Legitimately, that's great. Okay? But the cons, all right, is the project manager needs to be competent in managing a team. The product sponsor needs a clear vision. It's a constrained labour market in Australia. And again, it's expensive. No matter what you do in Australia, it's going to be expensive. So I want to pick on these themes. Project manager to be competent in managing a team, and product sponsor needing to be clear on a vision. See, no matter which way you cut this, okay, whether we go into and we start talking about offshore solutions or we talk about solutions here in Australia, someone in this room, in your company, is going to have to manage your tech team. And someone in this room is going to have the vision. Do you see how that makes sense? So the first one, licensing content, that's kind of cool. That's just off the shelf. That is easy. But other than that, it's going to require, like anything, some management. Because in most organizations, executives and the organization knows they need capacity, but you might only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 managers or an owner. So someone has to manage the talent, but you've never done it before. So that can happen in marketing. I see it every day in marketing. And then the second half to the pathway, and of course this is where we specialize, but again, choose your own adventure, is building your own team. Now, as Troy alluded to, this is absolutely true. You are going to get 5 hires for every one on average. So if you have a budget to have a particular development role, you'll be able to hire 5 for that budget. So as I said before, those names that not many of you could point out and tell me what they were, it's going to be 9 to 45,000 per person as a yearly salary versus 160 to 250. So there's pros there, and you are going to have access to a global talent. But the cons are still there, guys. If you build your own team offshore, we'd love to help you, but understand, you'll need to manage it. Someone in the company will need to be their manager, and someone will need to have a clear vision. Let's tell you the 4 decisions that you're going to have to make if you want to do something. So let me tell you about a story. Let me tell you about Jacob. So this was a client that came to us, and this is speaking about a number of themes. All right, so as you can see here, the structure of this company, it was a compliance-based company, was they had a product manager. So very, very experienced, knew everything about software engineering, knew everything about AR, VR, etc. And then working underneath him was Jacob. And he was an onshore Unity developer. So Unity is a language that you use for augmented and virtual reality. Okay, that's what Unity effectively is. It's a language like Java or something like that. Now, so imagine this. This is it. Compliance company, want to do something with VR and AR. Okay, Meta or Facebook hadn't come out with that platform just yet. So this was maybe 2 years ago. Jacob's working under Darren. They would run these product sprints. So if you've been involved in any sort of tech release before, you're used to the terminology of a sprint, and they would release, they would do a new release every quarter. So that was Darren and Jacob. Jacob was probably on, I think he was on about 110. He was underpaid, okay? He could have demanded more. And that was proved when Jacob got headhunted by Atlassian for 236, 37. Who can compete with stupid money, right? You can't. But it's what the market dictated they could pay him. So that was that. These guys came to us, and this is what we did. We obviously kept our product manager. He wasn't going anywhere. He loved it. But we said, all right, not because offshore people are any better or worse, but just because of the cost of living differential, let's build you a team. Because on another topic, when we work with organizations, people that go, oh, we would like that staff member here, this one offshore person, or we would like a VA. People are saying VAs. It's like, no, let's look at your org chart and figure out where your constraints are and how to help you. So we said, let's take that budget, let's take that 110, not that 236, 237, that 110, and let's figure out what we can do with it. So for that, we employed them a Unity developer, a 3D modeler to do all the really cool stuff, a DevOps person. So managing the operations of the whole thing, all right? How does it interface with your website and all the other stuff that is far beyond my technical understanding. And customer success. This was a big one when you're working with customers, all right? Having someone that could be on a phone with a local BDM or a local salesperson or a local anyone really, and help them through so they've got the headset on and they're working through the experiences. So someone in customer success. So we took that one person, we expanded the team and made them 4, and we did it for less than 110,000 a year for that business. So right now, instead of quarterly releases for their sprints, they're now doing fortnightly releases. So their VR products and AR products are just moving so quickly because they've got a team of people. But as Troy introduced, and this is where I will come back to what he wanted me to speak about, is that you can access offshore talent. It does become available to you. But I did want you to see the reality of what it means, okay? You will need to manage your teams, whether they're offshore or whether they're in Australia. It doesn't change it. So continuing on our journey, there's also another mindset that we can explore. So we know, let's do something. Let's be innovative. Great. I've got choices. I can use an agency. I can license content if it exists. We can build our own team onshore. We can build our own team offshore. But how are you going to fund innovation? Okay, how are you going to fund it? So the number one is you can beg for a budget from your CFO. Who's been successful in begging for budgets? Now, I told you, it only cost $237,000 per person, so you reckon you can grab a few of those? Even if it's not, even if it's offshore. Hey boss, I can get 5 amazing developers, software engineers, full stack developers, end to end for 110. You still got to find it, right? Yeah? Okay. So we've got this need here, all right? We're going to get onto what I'm best at teaching, okay? Workforce engineering, because you've got a need. How do we enhance student experience? And I've shown you 4 pathways. They're all legitimate. You don't need to build offshore teams. We'd love to help you. It's what we do, but you don't have to. But you need to find the money. So, labour. Attacking labour. That's the biggest option for everyone in this room, looking at your workforce. Okay, so workforce engineer. Now, I'm not going to teach too much of this today because I don't have the time to do it. I'd love to work with any and all of you that we don't already work with. But the idea is, how do we look at our incumbent workforce, our training department, our finance department, our resource department, our sales department, our marketing department? How do you look at all these departments and go, where do I find that 110, 236, 580, 1.2 million, where do I find that money? So whatever path we choose to build those tech solutions, we've got the money. So let's pick sales. For those of you that have heard me speak before, I always pick training. So when I get just a couple of minutes, I know at the national conference and at other ones, the amount of RTOs that have got full on excited when I've said, hey guys, why don't we segment your training team, making them super fulfilled by only having them train, okay? And then we segment the training organisation, the trainers, and we give them student support officers, and we give them tutors and people to manage delinquent trainees. So they become very, very excited. So everyone that's heard me speak or have seen videos, they've heard me do that, and companies that work with us have all done that. So that's great. So let's pick sales. Okay, here we go. For those who likes numbers, who likes finances? Okay, here we go. Good. Okay. All right, here we go. So this is an example of a small to medium RTO, maybe medium. Okay, so some of you in here will relate. Currently, you've got lead gen activities, let's say 10,000 a month. All right, maybe that's through some level of AdWords, through an agency. Maybe you're paying, if you're in Cricos, that's going to commissions for agents. But whatever you're doing, you're spending about 10 grand a month on lead gen. So it's 120 a year. And let's say that you've got 5 BDMs in the field. This is a way you could look at it. So just apply it to your organization. So you're all bringing in leads somehow. You've all got some level of sales activity, maybe 1 BDM, 2 BDM, maybe it's an owner, etc. All right. So there's salaries attached to that, and here I've applied about 150,000. So salary, car, driving around, tolls, super, etc. And then I said there's 3 admin people in the office. supporting them, and I've applied some dollar values to that. So without going into any level of training yet, or resource development, or finance, or any of those departments, we're simply looking at how business is brought in. So we're just taking one chunk, because again, the mission is how do we find money? The best way to find money to be able to add value to your innovative VR student experience is attacking your org chart, okay? Look at the labour costs that you're spending. How do you do it better? All right, so 1.14 million and we haven't started training yet. So how can we fix this? So as you can see, focusing on leveraging the efforts through finding the best possible team members is obviously what we're speaking about, not just in Australia, but around the world. And we're going to focus on reducing labour for whether or not it's growing bigger, stronger, faster, making more profit. But the mission, and this is what you'll hear me quoting all the time, is to work with people's strengths, okay? Amplify what they're amazing at and take all the stuff that they're not amazing at away from them. So that's why I've said before, right? I keep going in and out, but I don't like to lean over. So I keep going in and out where I talk about the trainers, okay? But the idea is take the work away from people that's not in their strength zone, outsource it, offshore it, have people working with them, and then let the salespeople sell, let the trainers train, okay? All right, so here's your new version. So what are we going to do now? So we are going to take that and we're going to make all those people onshore happier. We're going to make them happier and we're going to find you money by doing that. So first of all, we're going to find you a marketing manager. And when I say we, it doesn't have to be we, by the way, I'm just talking in general, okay? So marketing manager, and that's, you want to own your IP, right? You don't want to get caught out. You're going to be doing all this amazing stuff, whether it be VR, AR, whether it be videos, whether it be online content, whether it be using apps, it doesn't really matter, but you want to keep your own IP, excuse me, it's important. And then you don't have an agency anymore doing it, you want to control it, so you've got a marketing manager, and again, I am infiltrating this with offshore talent, because otherwise we have to have a cost-saving exercise. So we're going to go and get that 10,000 a month, and we are going to turn that into hire a marketing manager, social media marketing coordinator, graphic designer, and a copywriter. So bang, everything's taken care of in your own company. Those 5 BDMs we're going to turn into 2. That could be over time. Maybe we love our BDMs. We don't want to let anyone go. That's not what this is about. So over time, they go from 5 to 2. Maybe they're top graded, or maybe because that was a big organisation, you've got 2, so this works perfectly. But what do we want our BDMs doing? We want them selling, we want them influencing, we want them getting business. We don't want them doing emails, because goodness knows every BDM that I've ever worked with does not like to send emails or do spreadsheets. Yeah? Okay. So we're going to partner them with a sales coordinator each. We're going to have 2 of them. All right, so these sales coordinators are going to do everything that you don't want your salespeople doing. So sending emails, following up clients, scheduling your appointments, okay, etc. Then I've even made another assumption. I've said, what if your RTO was a JSA, okay, or a school-based? So you had this situation where you wanted to provide CVs to your business owners from schools. And then the last step is we are going to look at those 3 admin, and we're going to realise that there's efficiencies in our admin as well, because not every admin person is created equally, just like not every trainer or BDM is created equally. So why don't we look to narrow the focus of our admin people? And we could do that this way. 1 admin person processes your EOIs or your expressions of interest, or however inquiries come into your business. If you work with apprenticeship centres, I still call them apprenticeship centres, but ASINs, so the Busy It Works, the MRails, the MEGTs, there's a heap of them, you know them. Someone that just gets them through to sign up, or SRTO if you're in Queensland, where I'm from. An enrolment officer, someone that does that. This is a really common one. It's come out of this room in every single state. Someone to do enrolments, all right? And then just general admin. So we're going to give them narrow swimming lanes. This also helps with efficiency, because if you ever lose one particular staff member, you don't have to teach everyone everything. And this is a big thing. I was doing a workshop 2 weeks ago in Melbourne, and there was it was quite intimate. It was meant to be intimate. It was meant to be a round table, and then there was this audience. But we got pretty into it, and there was a number of people in the room that said that they really needed to make changes in their companies, but they couldn't because they were held hostage by particular people because they've been there forever and they couldn't figure out if they had to replace them, either because they needed to move them on or they were a flight risk because they wanted to go. They wouldn't know how to replace them because too much, and I'm seeing smiles, so some of you in here, this is your world. It's all of our worlds, right? This person knows everything. If we lose them, we are screwed, all right? So I've gone off on a tangent, but clearly it's resonating with 3 of you, so that's great. So anyway, so I'll bring it all together, don't worry. But there's another thing there. So we're talking about money, yes. We're talking about workforce engineering, yes. But we're talking about how to have people in passion zones and how to have people in narrow swimming lanes so that you've got experts that if you lose anyone or need to get rid of anyone, you don't need to freak out, okay? So everyone's an expert. No fear of redundancy or losing one expert. And again, we're going to have a ratio of 5 to 1 for dollars. This is what it now looks like. All right, and I've given you, this is a smaller version of what it could, but this is what this would look like. We've now taken our 10,000 onshore marketing budget. We've created you owning your own entire marketing team, employing them offshore. That whole thing would cost about 55,000 on average. You've got your BDMs supported by sales coordinators and these recruiters if you are in a school-based business, RTO or a JSA, getting resumes and feeding them in to your clients and the BDMs, okay? We've got all of our admin teams offshore as well. So we've got 2 opportunities here. If we look at your BDMs being onshore, they're face-to-face, they're on the ground, then a model like this would cost you about 460,000. Now remember where we came from, 1.14 million, right? So we haven't touched training, we haven't touched resource development, instructional designers, any of that. Haven't touched the finance team, nothing. We're just looking at the front end of your business. Now, if you wanted to get really sexy and go, well, you know what? Our BDMs don't even drive around anymore. They just do Zoom calls. So, depending on that need, your trainers need to be onshore, no doubt. There's RTOs in here where they're not onshore, okay? But we could have those in South Africa, all right? And then you've got that 1.14 going down to 230. So we've partially re-engineered 1 to 2 departments. And why have we done that? Yes, to improve efficiency, but we've tried to create $910,000 a year. And in an RTO of that size, which is a bit bigger than this room, given what you've told me, so if we did this exercise, or if you did this exercise, it might not be 910, it might be 500,000, it might be 400,000, something like that. But with that, you've then got some real serious choices with what you can do. Because it doesn't matter what myself or any of the VR, AR experts and the cool headset stuff that's coming, and we know, oh, he's right there. We know this speaker, he's an absolute expert, he's done some amazing things. So he's gonna show you some really cool stuff. But he's going to say it's going to cost money, all right? So we've got to be able to find that money. And this is the way that you can do it without having to beg, borrow, and steal. Okay, so what have we done? We've looked at procurement options. You've come out of here, you're going to listen to our next speaker, and you're going to decide this is amazing. So you're going to have those choices available to you. Buying off the shelf, licensing content, going through an agency, building your own team onshore, building your own team offshore. You're going to have these choices. All right. We've then done a deep dive into considerations of building an offshore team. So we've talked about what that looks like financially with the case study, all right, and showing that difference. And then we've finished off with my favourite topic, which is some workforce engineering, just to give you a taste of what disrupting your org chart to make your onshore staff more fulfilled and happy because they're doing everything they love, and then segmenting so that we have the offshore team members that work directly for you doing the rest. That's how you're going to get your budget. Questions? The couple of the basics, all right? So the way that it works is that every time you start staff, and this is with us anyway, so if I can do that, I can't speak intelligently about every other opportunity out there, But for us, the first thing that happens is we say, well, what is your current staff? Like, what do they need to use? If it's someone in your finance team, they might need access to MyOb or Xero. If they are in your resource development team or their training team, they might need access to Tutus or Accelerate or VetTrack or something of that nature. So the first thing is that everything we do, your offshore staff will only work through your tech stack. So they'll only work through your cloud-based platforms, which are on Australian servers. So that's the easiest way to know it's protected, because then it then puts them on a level playing ground with everyone else sitting in Sydney with you or sitting with Melbourne. So is that a reasonable just snapshot of that's the easiest way that cyber and IT is protected. It's a level playing ground. Nothing is accessed remotely. Nothing is accessed on international servers. It's with a freelancer. It is a risk. Obviously, with what we do, finding dedicated staff for you that only work for you, they're building a career. So if you trust the person sitting to the right of you and you trust the person sitting to the left of you, then you're just going to simply have to trust the team member that's sitting 4,000 kilometres away from you. It is all about culture, okay? We've got clients in this room, and even if we didn't have them, the mission is for you to treat your offshore staff the way you treat your onshore staff. So yes, we are going to employ them for you. We're the Filipino company, we're the South African company. However, they only work for you. They only report through your management lines. So they're going to be part of your daily meetings, they're going to be part of your weekly huddles, your management meetings if they're at the management level, etc. If you wear branded shirts, you should send them branded shirts. If you have posters in your office, you should give them the posters of your companies in the office. You'll know their birthdays. We send them welcome gifts. We send them birthday gifts, celebrations, Christmas parties. I'm going over there next week to celebrate with all of our clients and their staff, and a number of you in this room that are clients are coming to that, okay? So culture is built just like you would onshore, through daily meetings, good KPIs, and a shared vision. The concept of narrow swimming lanes has come out of the way that Ruben and I have built companies for 20 plus years just through trial and error. It's turned out to be an integral part to how we educate, because when you add offshore to that concept, it just adds rocket fuel to it. But it doesn't have to be what you do. You lose that person and no one knows how to talk to an ASIN. It's all real. In a normal admin structure, people duplicate, right? My admin person's busy, let's get another admin person. My next admin's person, let's get another one. But they all have to know how to answer a phone, they all have to know how to respond to an email, they all have to know how to do an invoice, they all have to know how to talk to an ASIN. So the point is that if you lose that ASIN person, your organisation doesn't collapse, because you don't need to teach people how to answer the phone, see what I mean? So when we employ people for you, everything is based on job description. So you're going to say, okay, we want this many years of experience in this skill set. And if it's RTO centric, we would look for resumes through our recruitment department that have had experience with Australian RTOs. And then from that, it would be your skills list. So that's how we do it. So you go for experience, and then outside of it, once we recruit and they start with you, then obviously the onboarding is up to their line manager, just like an Australian staff member. So in our case, again, as a solution, we are their legal employer. So we are handling their payroll, their legals, the variations of their equivalent to super. So we're handling all of that. So we're the company, we're legally, morally, and financially obligated. You guys are their leaders and managers that work with them on a daily basis. People say, oh, well, how are the staff in the Philippines or in South Africa? And I'll say exactly like they are in Australia. You are going to have I've got amazing staff in Australia, and I've got absolutely terrible staff in Australia. Not anymore, by the way. But I've got amazing staff in the Philippines, and then of course we've got staff in the Philippines that haven't been amazing, but then they get replaced. So offshore and onshore are exactly the same. So it's all about the quality of work. So in that case, that resource development company really didn't do a good job for their business because you're probably never going to use them again. So if you were hiring an instructional designer or a resource developer, chances are they're probably reporting up into the training manager, or in some cases I've seen them report up into HR or compliance, and in which case that could be some QA processes there. A big thing for us was to be really transparent. So we start with, just like an Australian interview, what is that staff member based on their job description and based on their experience? What is the market rate? What are they expecting? Provided it's in range, that's what the salary is, and then our flat fee goes on top. So all the clients in this room, or ones that become clients, they'll clearly see, based on an interview negotiation, what that staff member is paid. So yeah, it's market rate, very visible. So yeah.